Do you love TV? Do you watch TV every single day? Well, you're not special. A lot of Americans do. In fact, more than 5.5 hours a day. Boy, do we love the boob tube, as we call it. But this is something special I want to talk to you about today. Do you think about TV so much that you dream about taking one character from, say, your favorite crime procedural and putting them together with your favorite sexy character from your daily soap opera? Well, today we're going to explore that and probably a little bit more. I'm your host, Mitch Brinkman, and today we're making deep connections between beloved TV characters from across the broadcasting world. Whether you're here to create a new type of powder keg couple that needs their own Bravo reality show, or you're doing God's work by helping to fill in writing holes from lazy Season 6 writers, today we will explore all types of love connections you might not have thought about. The dudes today who are bringing their alarmingly large knowledge of the small screen. The first guy is famous for writing listicles BuzzFeed never asked for, such as, which Entourage celebrity cameo are you? Which Vinny Chase lady fling are you? Right? Top 40 hats worn by Johnny Drawn during Entourage seasons 2 through 5. It's Brian Ernst.
Yeah, that's me. That's definitely me. Got a whole folder of those bad boys.
Keep sending them. They might send you cash. All right, our next scion of TV character connection is really excited to share his BritBox on Amazon Logan, but only if you read his Tumblr dedicated to the shared themes he's found in Downton Abbey, Coronation Street, and Britain's Got Talent. It's Nathan Hennenfent.
Oi, oi. That was lovely how you incorporated 4 different accents into one there in the British accent.
I tried to go high, low, a little Australian by accident, and then Cockney. And that might be low as well. Okay. We're going to move forward here, guys. Don't forget, pop on over to bizbear.biz. Send us your suggestions. Give us some clues. Give us some tips. Leave a voicemail. Whatever you want to do, we're here to serve our listener base. We are hungry and ready to do whatever you want. And for that snazzy new look on the site, we'd like to thank our new hunting sponsor, Smoky Hills Outdoor Store on Highway 71, just north of Park Rapids, Minnesota, right across from the newly closed Y Steakhouse. This week only, bring your Smoky Hills receipt of firearm purchase to neighboring 71 bottles of beer and liquor and tell them Smokey sent you for 30% off all Coors products. Smoky Hills Outdoor Store, lighting the fire of your gun outing since 2017. And of course, stick around to the end of the show where I, your host, will give us the Fast Five. And today that is ways your parents distract from nudity on screen. Ooh, classic, right?
Good one.
But first, we must do a quick rundown. There it is. A quick rundown of the rules.
Each player in the den has spent time with today's topic arranging their top 5 answers in order of importance. Those answers have been submitted to the host who will moderate the game, awarding points to the player with the most poignant answer.
Starting with their number 5 choice, we'll move up the ranks until we reach each of their top answers. But if both contestants happen to have the same answer on their list, well, we have an Uber stare-down.
You will hear the official Uber Cinco siren, and both players must reveal their answer and what number they ranked their submission. An Uber stare-down is all or nothing, with one player earning 3 points. After all answers have been read, the host will reveal the final score.
Wow, those rules just keep staying great. I love them. All right, I'm the host, so I get to make a house rule today, guys, and that is, these duos you're putting together, they need to be a team, right? And a team needs a steed. So an extra bonus point to each contestant when they provide a quality vehicle or mode of transportation that each couple would use, okay? And really great ideas might get 2 bonus points. Sound good? Good. Okay, how do we choose our first player today? Brian, I'm going to choose you to go first because you've sent me demonstrably less links to Pornhub videos starring animated TV's biggest names in steamy situations. Nathan, time to diversify the free time, my friend. Okay, Brian, please give us your number 5 TV crossover couple.
All right. My first crossover couple, I'm taking a modern show and a show that would have came out probably when I was in grade school, but it took over the airwaves. with the concept of being a show that took place in real time, I am taking CTU's Jack Bauer from 24 and pairing him up with John Dutton from Yellowstone.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
So much masculinity here.
It is a testosterone overload. All right. Now, one of the benefits here is Mr. Dutton is on a premium streaming service, so he gets to swear. Whereas Jack Bauer was on Fox, so the most he could ever say on TV was, God damn it. Damn it was his biggest word, and it ended up becoming a drinking game for viewers of 24 during that time. And Kiefer Sutherland became aware of this and would try and sneak in more damn it's into the show just because he knew there was a drinking game. Which is there anything more Kiefer than that, you guys?
Nope.
So you have a badass Kiefer going after terrorists. You have just another white guy trying to protect his land, but you put them together and they're kind of both doing the same thing. Jack Bauer on a bigger scale, Mr. Dutton on a little bit smaller scale, but we put these two together. I don't know how long this show would last. I mean, because they're going to have to be a duo. They're going to have to be put together for some reason. There's a terrorist. Something's happening in Butte, and all of a sudden, Jack Bauer's got to be sent out there. And in 24 episodes, they got to make it from Butte to Billings, and they're going to do it together. And they're probably going to do it on a trusty steed by the name of Legums, which is the horse that Dutton provides to the both of them, that Jack Bauer will then add a cell phone holster to. So that is a...
From Butte to Billings, that was a great Bob Hope, Bing Crosby road movie from the 40s. Remember that one? That was great.
It's actually the name of the show, From Butte to Billings. That's what we're going to do here.
If it's a 24 style presentation, that's a lot of, I mean, Montana's large. That's mainly driving that show. Yeah. So it's going to just be them like, hey, I love peanut M&Ms. Oh, what? No, peanut butter M&Ms. That's where it's at. Shut up. Pass the coffee. You're like, wow, cool. Yeah, two old guys just trying to figure each other out.
It's an hour-long drama. There's 42 minutes approximately per episode. 23 of these minutes are always them in a car deciding who's going to speak first. And then after whoever speaks first, it's a countdown to who draws a weapon first. And they just never can solve the crime that they need to solve because they're always just trying to outman each other.
And these are both white guys who would gladly warm themselves in a cold car with the American flag, right? I mean, they are wrapped in the stars and stripes, right?
They quickly get rid of Legums to move on to Old Bessie, which is their F-250 that has the eagle and the flag.
Sure.
Also the ND filter on the back window there. And they never put anything in the pickup bed. You never have to put anything in that, but you have it just in case you actually do kill a terrorist and you got to move them from Butte to Billings.
I'm imagining, like these guys are two peas in a pod. What's something you could imagine Jack Bauer doing for John Dutton just to really show him like, bud, I care about you. I love you.
I feel like you would dress a wound perfectly for Dutton, and that would impress him.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, he gets hit by a stray bullet, and then he like whips out his belt and like puts a perfect tourniquet on. But at the same time, there was
he's like, does this hurt? And John's like, of course it doesn't hurt. No, I don't feel pain. He's like, good, I don't ever feel pain. And they're just crying as they're both saying, I don't feel pain, as he's worried about him dying. Yeah.
Or I could see him like get there was some sort of the cow herd had caused a traffic jam and somehow Jack Bauer gets Dutton's grandkid to school. That could be a whole episode.
Mid-season climax arc right there. That's what's going to happen right in the middle is Tate gets to school. But the other thing, there was an actual torture scene from 24. I remember. I think it happens in the back of a limo. And Jack Bauer describes to the villain how he is going to torture him by all he has is a wet rag.
Yeah.
And he's going to force him to swallow it. And he's starting to shove it down his throat, but he's holding on to the other end like a catheter almost. It's all the way in there. And he was like, I can stay in here as long as you want, but your stomach is going to start to digest this towel. And you're not answering my questions, I'm going to rip out your stomach lining.
Oh my God.
This is on Fox, a network television show. That's
Jesus.
Totally what happened.
Also, I didn't watch a lot of 24, but I do remember seeing like maybe a super cut on YouTube of the amount of times Jack Bauer hung people with like chains and stuff. Did that happen often?
Oh, of course, yeah.
Okay. Yellowstone, also a couple hanging. So what's the
Lots of
over under?
hangings, yeah.
Okay. So they're just hanging people with chains and cow rope and whatever it is. Okay.
A lot of hanging. I mean that's your season 1 finale right there.
Yeah. And
Someone
Jack
gets hanged.
Hold on, I haven't got there yet.
and Jack really doesn't have a home, right? So he's
still on episode 7.
He's living on
the
the
season
ranch,
1
right?
finale of Butte to Billings is someone gets hanged.
Okay.
Yeah, there's no
okay.
spoilers here. No spoilers.
These are two very gruff characters. Obviously, the show's going to be sponsored by Halls or Ricola. Definitely Marlboro. Also, but Irish Spring is going to be there. Yeah,
And then whatever supplement like Alex Jones and Joe Rogan like Hawk, like that'll be a huge supplement.
It's that one testosterone replacement pill that Frank Thomas hawks. I think that one definitely will be a big sponsor for this
It's
show.
the red and blue pills you see on your way to checkout at 7-Eleven. Those are the ones. Promise to get you hard from Butte to Billings.
It's the sad old guy's version of being in the Matrix. Which boner do I want tonight? Brian, I like this pairing a lot. Both tough guys. One guy's in a hat. One guy's not in a hat. I like that.
Yes,
difference
that's how you tell
too.
them apart.
Exactly. That's how you tell them apart. Both we know for both characters and also Sutherland in real life chemical dependency issues, which will always make for good television. So
It's true.
if not sad television. So excellent job, Nathan. I want to hear your number 5, pal. Measure up to these two titans
okay.
of cowboying and terrorist killing.
Well, I thought a fun thing thinking about this was taking one character and putting them in the other one's world and
Sure.
vice versa. But this one, these two actually exist in the same universe. They both exist in London in the early 2010s. That's Sherlock, as played by Benedict Cumberbatch, and then Alice Morgan, as played by Ruth Wilson in Luther.
Wow.
Now, Luther was a bit grittier of a series, but they took place in both in London in that early 2010 era. Royal wedding, Olympics, all kinds of fun stuff going on. I was living there. And
Cristiano Ronaldo leaving.
the
No, that
Alice-
wasn't London. That was Manchester. Sorry. You're
leaving.
right. My bad,
He
my
left.
bad.
Yep. But the Alice Morgan character from Luther, she's the detective played by Idris Elba. He's a hard-nosed detective who has a drinking problem and problems with his ex and Alamo. Just like such a
man.
stereotypical.
So a detective. We got it. Yeah.
Hard-boiled, TV. But he's played by Idris Elba, so there's the twist.
So it's good.
And that's what gets you. Yeah, so it's good. Luther's a great show, but Alice Morgan is his off and on again nemesis. She kills her parents the first time you see her, and Idris Elba and crew cannot quite solve the crime. They can't pin it on her, and she just sort of gleefully dances about, like flaunting the fact that they know she did it, but she knows they can't prove it. And then she pops in and out of the series as time goes on. But Elba and Alice Morgan sort of form a bond. They sort of become connected, even though she's a psychopath and he's supposed to be the cop who does all of the things and breaks the rules. But what if she had instead been pursued by none other than Benedict Cumberbatch's Sherlock Holmes, an equally handsome and dapper and cunning and resourceful man, but also someone who wasn't quite as dumb as the Luther character. Someone who actually could outsmart her and probably in the end catch her. I think that story would have worked well. They play with that in Sherlock a little bit, where he has God, I can't believe I'm forgetting the woman's name.
I think the big problem you're having so far, though, is this is kind of going to be like a sitcom we all made together, the old switcheroo. This is going to be canceled before a live audience because Sherlock's just going to solve the crime that she killed the parents before the end of the pilot, and it's over. He's going to lock her up.
Well, he'd be called in after Idris Elba couldn't do it.
Sure.
And then he had Irene Adler, Sherlock Holmes' nemesis. Irene Adler was a woman who was a criminal, but not a serial killer. But it was, so they sort of had this kind of cutesy, like, oh, she's a criminal, but also they think the other one is hot, so they don't actually, he actually ends up saving her from being executed by terrorists in one episode. I think.
Yeah, that was a little far, but okay.
Yeah, but in this case, he would be even more of a love connection with Alice Morgan, because they're both sociopaths, they're both insane, they're both smarter than everybody in the room, but at the end of the day, Sherlock would have locked her up. He would have sent her packing. I won't reveal what happens to Alice Morgan in the Luther episode. No spoilers or anything.
Well, it's a 10-year-old show. I think you could say if you wanted to.
Yeah. 10 years, we're good.
The most recent episode was
that's true. That's true.
So I'm gonna let it breathe. But I think Sherlock would have won the battle of wits. And unwittingly had sent her down, and it would have been a much more spicy, entertaining, sexy, romantic, and ultimately fulfilling story arc. So that's why it's my number.
So, like, are you saying that they would just be good crime equals, or would they actually get to some of that hot and heavy, Oh, they would. Okay.
Do it. In my world, they do it.
How many times? Loft space.
Just once.
Just once.
Just the night before he sets her up to be taken away to Scotland
Is this
Yard.
like a classic? Like, ooh, I'm gonna handcuff you to the bedpost, and we're gonna have some naughty fun. And
this
then
is Sherlock losing his virginity.
Oh.
And he kind of like, after it's over, he's like, okay, that's sex. I know now. All right, time to go to Scotland Yard.
Interesting. Okay, I haven't seen Luther in a while, but I do remember the actress though that plays. Was it Ruth Wilson as the actress, right?
Correct.
Yeah. She has
Ruth
that
Wilson,
lip,
yes.
and I don't know if it's natural or if it's like a result of some surgery, but it has a kind of overhang where it's like a little bit of a duck lip at all time, and it's just
awesome.
But it doesn't look like bad. It just looks like curious, and I'm like, ooh, I'm into it. So I'm hoping that Sherlock would also feel the same way. Although he'd probably be like, oh, that's a sign of a degenerative disease. So at 75, she's gonna get gray hairs on her left rump or something like that.
So Martin Freeman comes in. Would you just be turned on by curious lip? God damn it.
Well, we could go the Ruth Wilson route also with her character from The Affair when she dated the guy who played Jimmy
Dominic
McNulty.
Monaghan. No, not Dominic Monaghan. Dominic West. Thank you.
Dominic West. I was like, man, if this was not the English professor Dominic West is playing, but if this was Jimmy McNulty, this show would be over in one episode. McNulty would have got to the bottom of this and figured out what to do. He would have made the right call. Like, granted, he's a womanizer, but he wouldn't have, and we wouldn't have had to go through painful series 2, 3, and 4. Season 1 was great, though. But
Incredible. Okay, guys, I'm going to score this one out. Nice start here. I can sense the momentum rising like a beautiful, sexy wave. So let's keep that going. Brian, I'm giving you 3 points only because I've been watching Yellowstone day and night recently. So this is a recency bias for sure. Nathan, I still haven't seen one full episode of Sherlock. I apologize. I know that's my bad, but also I can only give you 2 points for that because as host, I just don't know as much about Sherlock. I apologize for that. But
it's all right. We'll watch the first 6 sometime, and then we'll pretend that the rest of them don't have.
I look forward to Cucumber Lady Snatch, really blowing my skates off in terms of acting ability. So number 4, back to Brian. Give it to us, buddy.
My number 4. I was trying to think of one that was very outside the box, and I wanted to take 2 personalities that are very, very opposite and try and put them together in a romantic relationship.
Okay.
So what I did is I dipped a toe in the world of animation, and I dipped in the toe of live action spinoff, and I put together Randy Marsh with Roz from Frasier. Now,
I have to take my hat off to you. This is.
I was thinking in the Charlie Kelly realm first. I'm like, who would pair well with Charlie Kelly? I'm like, no. I need someone dumber. Randy Marsh. So I landed on Randy. I feel like Roz is one of the most sophisticated women ever portrayed on television. She has to deal with just the narcissism of Frasier day in and day out. She has to keep that show running, and he's such a pain in the ass, and she has a hard time dating because she is so smarter than everybody else that she's ever met. It's a problem. But somehow in a drunk night at a bar, she gave up after a bad taping of the Frasier Crane show. She goes out to the bar. Randy's on vacation in Seattle. And all of a sudden, sparks fly. This is after Randy gets divorced from his wife, and he was just like this before he started Integrity Farms. This is a perfect moment in his life to meet a sophisticated woman. And Randy and Roz, just listen to that roll off the tongue. Randy and Roz hit it off, and oh my God, what a pairing! And her trying to get him to be the man she met the night she met him always. Like, what happened? Like, when he drank, he became like smooth talking, super cool. He played the guitar, he got on stage, he danced with her. He was super smooth, but then he's just sober and he's a fucking idiot. And she's constantly trying to get him back to that. And of course, they have to move to South Park because that's where his kid is. So she has to up and leave Seattle, go to South Park. And now she's a smart, sophisticated city woman in small town South Park.
Oh, Roz would have been such a great character.
Yes. Like the one,
she's
really kind of like the mayor. She's like the voice of reason. Like, I could actually do it.
Yeah.
But without like the political scandals. Like, she would actually just be our Jason Bateman, our straight person inside South Park, calling out all the stupidity around her. But then again, when she drinks or gets into something a little bit more salacious, because now she is living in a small town and has to deal with Stan and his friends and Randy jerking off to the cooking channel overnight or playing Guitar Hero for too long. She's going to have to come down and lay down the hammer on Randy Marsh.
I have a feeling Randy would get really into trying to become a fishmonger at the Pike Place Market too. When you get there, he'd like find out about it and be like, "Oh, this is so cool," and then just get behind the counter and just be like, "Hey, I got the overalls on. Like, let's, I'm in this. Let's go. Throw me some fish."
Hey, Roz, come on.
I want to flip this the other way and put Randy into an episode of Frasier. And what, like, the initial introduction of what Frasier and Niles would just be so appalled by him. But then John Mahoney's
just gets along with him,
walks in and takes a seat on his house, and he sees Randy, and he's like, finally, my kindred spirit is here.
I think he would quickly become like the sidekick to, was it Mad Dog? Is the other DJ? Yeah.
Mad Dog, yeah. Who Roz hated.
He'd be like, "Hey, Randy, come over here and eat this whole jar of peanut butter in your underwear." He'd be like, "Okay, yeah,
all right."
That's how they would break up. The whole episode would be Roz trying not to let Randy meet Mad Dog, because then it all comes.
Then her dream
down.
Collapses. Yes,
that's amazing.
Man. Roz really was the unsung hero of that show. That's like people will say, like, people of differing ethnic backgrounds than ours, as we are very white dudes. If we're like, "Oh, Frasier," they might be, "Yeah, Frasier is definitely a show that white people watch." And I will say, "Okay, that's a fair point, but let me get you a Roz episode." And there is Roz is, she's something for everybody.
That's the worst part. It may be the whitest show ever put to tape. But it's a very good show. It's good, but it's just no diversity whatsoever. There's none. Again, it's Seattle, and that's still, but like, you could have found somebody. Yeah. There's more than just white people in Seattle.
Well, yeah,
it is a rough white show, we'll call it.
Would this be a long relationship, do you think, Brian?
I feel like it is a Danny Sandy summer fling.
Okay.
We're thinking about like a Grease summer fling, I'm thinking here.
Okay.
But it's like a long mid-season arc.
Sure.
Keeps us interested for a while, but then eventually they both have to go back home to where they belong.
Yeah. I understand that.
But what a ride. Right? Randy and Roz.
What a freaking ride. Randy and Roz rolls off the tongue. Very nice. Okay, Nathan. I mean, you might be able to beat Randy and Roz, but who knows? What's your number 4?
I'll try. I've got Brienne of Tarth,
Oh, yes.
played by Gwendolyn Christie from Game of Thrones, a large person alongside another large person.
Oh.
Shaq, as played by Shaquille O'Neal from
Sure,
Inside the NBA
yeah.
on TNT. So I'm not going Shaq, the basketball player. I'm going with Shaquille O'Neal, the studio analyst, who's joking around with Kenny and Kobe and Ernie and just generally being a giant goofball.
Yep.
Past his physical prime, really has no idea what he's talking about anymore. But he's just such a lovable, big, cuddly, enormous 900-pound man. And then Brienne of Tarth, who's all business all the time. She gets things done. And I mean, there was the big tease was the romance between Brienne of Tarth and I think was it Tormund, the giant red-haired dude.
No.
Well, it didn't take off, and I'll tell you why. Because Brienne had her heart set on Shaq, the Diesel. That's who she was waiting for. The Bear and the Maiden Fair. It is Brienne and Shaq. Now, I want to see this go both ways. I want to see Shaq out of shape, go back into Game of Thrones, and like there's a comedic scene where like they can't find a horse big enough to carry him because he just can't. And then they realize, oh, wait a minute. Well, we'll just take our smallest horse and Shaq will carry that. And that's how we'll get to the next thing. And Brienne will make fun of him for that. And then the sparks will start to fly. But also, I want to see Brienne of Tarth on Inside the NBA sitting in between Kenny and Shaq and just one-liner after one-liner cutting down all of Shaq's quote-unquote, and I'm making the motion here with my fingers, quote-unquote analysis. Look, I love Shaq. We all love Shaq. He doesn't bring a lot of intellectual points to the discussion of the game of basketball. He was one of the best players of all time because he was one of the biggest players of all time. But the dude is hilarious. And just to watch him make faux pas after faux pas and just like trying to impress this woman next to him and have her just sitting there like slyly cutting him down time after time after time. I think it would be so endearing. I think they add a lot to each other's universe in both shows. And also they're both just, they're big. They're big people. So it makes, we're like, this is the base form of fan and like shipping, putting two characters in relationships. Like, that person's tall and that person's tall. Hey, there we go. They should get together.
I think my favorite part of this is Brianna Tarth goes out in full Knights attire and hits more free throws than Shaq.
She's never seen a basketball before. Yet she could still shoot over 50.
She's like, I've tossed heads into a basket before. This isn't tough. Yeah, after destroying a village. Yeah. A quick question. So Shaq is going to pull a lot of spotlight, right? From who's her squire's name? Is it Padwin or Pod? What's his name? The Podrick.
Huge win.
There's a new dong in town, and that's Shaq. So now, and also, I feel like she had a thing for Podrick, like possibly, right? Like there was, like it was just she was too young and stupid.
Possibly.
So I think that as long as she's the one she feels like the most capable and smart in the couple, I think this would work with Shaq because he's older than Podrick was, and also he brings more heat to the situation. That's a double entendre. Even I get that right. Do you think Shaq would be too goofy for Brienne at any point? Do you think she would be the one to break it off if it ever broke off?
I think absolutely. I think he's just too irresistible though. But the problem is Shaq would get killed in battle.
Oh yeah.
If you wrote Shaq as a person into a series with combat, that is not a character that survives. That is a character.
It's a horror movie. He's the first to die. Yeah.
He does something out of sweetness. Yeah. He tries to do something a little too sweet or cute that ends up being his downfall. Or I hated Shaq so much as a basketball player, so I can't believe I'm going to say this, but like he would actually do the brave thing and sacrifice himself, I think, in a battle situation. Definitely not in a basketball situation, because if that was the case, he would have laid off the ding-dongs and shot a few more free throws in practice. But we're not talking about Shaq the basketball player. We're talking about the analyst and the forced to be.
I'm also thinking here, if you have a dead Shaq up on the castle walk or whatever, you just roll him off the edge when you have people trying to scale your walls. He's taken out 10 to 12 guys easy. Just his body alone falling.
Even in death, he's useful.
Yeah.
That's why the Magic took him with the number 1 overall pick in 1992. Even if he's dead, we can roll him over a few people.
And I hate to give any credit to my opponent here.
Then don't.
But a lot of people cry when they watch like military people coming back home and surprising their kids at school videos.
Mhm.
I cry at Shaq buying kids things at Walmart and shoe stores.
Oh,
That's
sure.
that's what gets me. I'm just like,
That's great.
dude, you're the best dude ever. And I want you to keep. Yes,
Shaq
just
is
keep doing
America's
it, man.
teddy bear.
Yeah,
he really
we're
is.
proud of you.
I mean, my top 5 least favorite NBA players of all time. But Shaq, he's Shaq. Come on,
Yeah.
I like Shaq. You like Shaq? I didn't like watching him play basketball,
Yeah.
but you gotta.
He
love
does.
Shaq.
He does also, and any product that he pitches nowadays, he used it at some point, and so he doesn't just pitch a product he's never used. I learned that
That's
about
true.
him. Yeah.
There was a toilet paper factory in Western Illinois, and they had made some off-brand Shaq toilet paper at one point in the 90s when Shaq was still playing for the Magic. And so you had pictures of Shaq. Like somebody had like clandestinely got a few rolls, and it was like just pictures of Shaq. It was like the jokes weren't even jokes. It was just like wipe out Shaq or put Shaq behind you. Like, and I remember even then thinking, I'm like, there has to be better jokes you can make about having a basketball
I've
player
got
you
one.
root against clean
Clean
up
the
your fecal
ass.
matter. Like,
Sounds like clean the
yeah.
glass. Boom, there it is.
And that's where Nathan applied to work at the toilet paper factory as a joke writer, starting his writing career, and everything's history.
I really should have. It's that story. I know this story goes nowhere, but I literally remember. I remember looking at this because I was like, I'm 10. I hate Shaq, and here's supposed to be a joke about how Shaq is only good for wiping your ass. And I looked at it, I'm like, this isn't funny. Like, do you know how badly I wanted to laugh? How badly I wanted this to be funny as a 10-year-old after the Magic had just beat the Bulls in the playoffs in '95. I wanted to shit all over Shaq. But it wasn't funny. So Shaq, if you're listening, and I know that you are, I never once used that toilet paper that so brazenly disregarded your image rights. They didn't make any money off of me. So you're welcome, Shaq.
I've got another phrase for the toilet paper. He's great at the paint, but he can't shoot his free throws. Boom, there it is. I got amazing. Okay, guys, that was a great round.
Great in the paint, just behind your taint.
There, boom! There
That's
it is. Nathan, I thought you did beat Brian's there, so I'm going to give you 3 points and Brian 2. Guys, don't forget, bonus points are still out there. Don't forget about that as well. So we're going to go back to Brian for his number 3. Brian, my dude, hit us with that.
My number 3 pairing here is going to be 2 guys I would like to see as roommates. This is the coupling pairing I'd like to see here.
Okay.
And that is, of course, me taking Bill Hader's Barry and Matt LeBlanc's Joey Tribbiani from Friends.
Oh.
Now, they both have the same life goal. They both want to be actors with very, very different backgrounds.
That's true. That's very true.
So what I like is you have Barry, who is this former assassin, current assassin.
I was going to say.
And living with Joey, the ultimate idiot that's actually getting work. He has a job on a soap opera. He's making money as an actor. Barry is clearly the better actor. He has a bunch of life trauma that he can bring to the surface when he needs to. He can deliver a monologue. He can be dramatic. He can be funny even. But Joey, not only raking in the women, he's raking in the dollars because he's got a steady job on a soap opera. And everyone complains about soap operas from like being bad television or whatever. But a gig as an actor, it's the greatest 9 to 5 you can have. It's easy lines. You know it's going to be steady.
Yep.
Even if you are being laid up in a hospital bed for months on end, you know you're going to work to lay down for 8 hours. That's all you got to do. You're still getting paid.
If
like,
that's
this
true. You're probably there for 2 hours. I've been on some of these soap opera sets. When I took an NBC tour in 2004, and we went through Days of Our Lives set, and that's the show that my mom has had on over lunch break all through my childhood. And so I was at least familiar enough with the layout, and it's like there's a whole town, I don't know, Salem or some shitty northeastern town, whatever. But the whole set was like, I don't know, about as big as my 1-bedroom apartment, and it showed 57 different locations within it. It's like they poop you in there, and then they get you a few man, they must record those things. If an episode is 40 minutes of tape time, they probably record it in 10 minutes of tape time. It's a miracle of science. That stuff is you are in, you are out, and you're not on every episode. I mean, that's why these people get those jobs. And they're on there for 60 years.
Yeah. It's written the night before.
Cash cow. Don't laugh at anybody who is an actor on a soap. Those people are better business people.
Walk in, get your over the shoulders, get out, and go get a nice steak dinner at the local steakhouse. Mm-hmm. That's how you soap opera, my friends. Now, I think there'd be a day where Barry would have to go to set with Joey and actually see how it's worked. Mm-hmm. But then he actually sees somebody he was supposed to hit working as a gaffer.
Sure.
And this throws us into a total tailspin where it's just he's got to be friendly with Joey and friendly with this guy. This guy doesn't know that he was a target, but he's friends with Joey. And now Barry has an existential crisis. He doesn't know. Does he take out the guy he's been hired to hit and kill Joey's best friend? But Joey's now his best friend. What does he do? Cue laugh track. And then Barry doesn't know what the fuck that is. There's a laugh track in his life now. What the hell? Now, that's the worst.
So in this thing, it sounds like you're saying that they will live in New York together and not L.A.
Yeah, I think Barry's got to go to New York because scary enough, it's there's so much money in soaps that his rent actually goes down because Joey's willing to cover 3/4 of it. So
that's a very good point. Who's going to have more of an impact on the other in terms of developing as an actor? Do you think?
I think you want Barry to have an effect on Joey, but Joey will have more of an effect on Barry in the end.
Sure. Now, I think Barry's kind of girlfriend, I can't remember her name now. I can't remember anyone else's name except for Barry from that show now.
Well, the show is coming into its third season now. It hasn't been on the air for 3 years.
Wow, really? Okay. Well,
yeah, it's been that long of a break, so I do not blame you for that.
Yeah, there you go. So, but his lady interest in there, she's sort of you might say basic, just kind of living moment to moment, kind of, the small things that Barry could care less about gets her very excited, which kind of reminds me of Joey. Joey's just pure, just enjoyment, moment to moment. Let's do it. Let's just eat a bunch of food. I think he would, because Barry wouldn't have to be as perhaps invested in him. Although if there are a couple, I don't know. I think he would help Barry just loosen up a little bit,
She's also
enjoy
the
life.
Stereotypical LA leech.
Yeah.
So if Barry ever brought her out and she saw that Joey was having success, she'd immediately dump Barry and go for Joey to try and get a role on the show.
That's a good point.
She would leave him in a second.
Interesting.
But we're also missing the best part here.
What's that?
This means Henry Winkler gets to be on Friends.
You think he was never on Friends?
Oh man, can we write an episode where Henry Winkler is on Friends, and then
Chandler?
Monica and
Elliot Gould
and Chandler's dad, Elliot Gould, is on Friends, and we can have Henry Winkler and Elliot Gould, the two coolest men in the history of entertainment,
and we make it a bottle episode where it's just Elliot Gould and Henry Winkler waiting for everyone to come to dinner, so we don't have to deal with any of the other bullshit on the cast. It's just an Elliot Gould, Henry Winkler Friends episode.
Yeah, and it ends when everybody finally shows up and they've made friends and they want to sit next to each other, but Henry Winkler is sitting at the other table and he has to ask Elliot Gould, will you please pass the salt? Do you guys get that reference? I don't know. That was a pretty far reach
over my head. Yeah. Is that a MASH reference?
Oh. Okay, well I have to explain. No, it's a Mary Tyler Moore Show reference. So when Happy Days was at its peak and Mary Tyler Moore was at its peak, Henry Winkler did a guest spot on the Mary Tyler Moore Show at a dinner party but it's like every time he's supposed to introduce himself, somebody like cuts him off or whatever, and so he never gets to say anything. And then the table's too crowded, so he has to sit at a table by himself off to the side. And then right before a commercial break, as he's over there by himself, the whole bunch of action happens at the table, blah, blah, blah. The line that ends the scene comes, boom, time for commercial break. And then Henry Winkler stands up and just goes, "Can you pass the salt?" And
Is
then,
that
boom,
a TV
commercial break.
crossover reference in our TV crossover episode? Well done. Well done.
That is not a vehicle or a mode
It
of
is.
transportation, but I'm giving Nathan a bonus point for that one. Very, very
Earned.
impressive.
Well earned.
TV muscles you are flexing
Thank you.
today. I
Thank
love
you.
that. Brian, I'm okay. Barry, we see his house. It's very sparse. Joey and Chandler, they have, they got fun stuff in their apartment. What's a duo activity thing you might see in their apartment in New York? Can you paint something like that for me? Is it something on the wall? Is it a game? Is it a I don't know, a piece of art? What is it?
It is a target on the wall that they shoot airsoft guns at, and Joey can never beat Barry.
Love it. Oh, and he's like, "Barry, why do you shoot like you're a trained killer and a Marine?" He's like, "I don't know. I'm just learned it for a role." Love it. Nathan, time for you to shoot us your number 3.
Oh my God, my number 3. Okay, so my number 3 starts off with Dwight Schrute.
Oh,
From The
classic,
Office.
classic. The one character that everyone listening to the show will absolutely know too much about, I think.
Yeah. I went with Dwight Schrute, and then you're going to have to forgive me because I can't pronounce her last name, but
Okay.
Carol, played by Melissa McBride from The Walking Dead.
Carol, is it Peltier, maybe? Is that how you pronounce it?
Pelletier, yeah.
Pelletier?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think this is more of a thing that happens in the Walking Dead universe. Is I'm throwing Dwight Schrute into the Walking Dead universe,
Okay.
which would be an absolute dream come true
Yeah.
for this guy.
Yep.
Like if he found out this was happening, he would cream his jeans in no time.
Mm-hmm.
And he'd head out to the beet farm, and he would already be prepared. He would have tool sheds full of supplies and guns and rations and what have you.
Mm-hmm.
He'd have his little knives to whittle things.
Mhm.
That could be. He would whittle a sweet potato into a knife that could cut other sweet potatoes. Doesn't make a lot of sense logically, but he could do it. But Carol, and I have to admit, I haven't watched. Like I've watched The Walking Dead.
People who like
a
The
long
Walking
time,
Dead stopped watching
but I
The
remember
Walking Dead.
Carol as being. Yeah, but I remember Carol being. She's just about the right age for Dwight. She's middle aged, and she's seems like she's thrown, like, as all of them are, but she more than anyone else in the early seasons, they highlight that she's sort of out of her element, but she has nobody to lean on. But she starts to show this resilience,
Mm-hmm.
and she starts adapting, and they highlight how she is able to just figure out how to make the best of a bad situation.
Yes.
She is a survivor, both emotionally and in terms of what she's given tangibly in front of her. And I
Mhm.
think Dwight Schrute would see that, and Dwight Schrute would be like, this is the one. And luckily for Dwight, most other eligible bachelors are being eaten alive by zombies.
True.
So I think Carol might actually give him a chance. I think we go to late season Dwight in the Office. Dwight does at the very end. One of the things, like, we could talk about the arc of The Office on another episode, but the late season Dwight, where he really starts to come into his own, and particularly in the final episode where it's his wedding, they really start to highlight the things that Dwight actually makes Dwight a good guy. Like he there are things about Dwight where he has good intentions and he's reliable. And there's a scene, I think it's Jim and Pam's wedding, where he goes and there's some like rot in the house they're moving into, and he just goes ahead.
Pam's
and
pregnancy.
takes care
Yes,
of
he
it
goes and
himself.
tears up the kitchen.
And
Yeah.
and then one of Pam's bridesmaids actually just like who's super
Her sister,
super
yeah.
beautiful,
Abigail.
just like falls for him. Abigail.
Sorry, yeah. She's
And
my favorite.
She's like all of a sudden like, whoa, this Dwight guy. I was like, if you look at Dwight Schrute from a certain lens, This guy he's a man's man. He takes care of himself. He takes care of the people he loves.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's a complete and utter goofball. But in the world of The Walking Dead, you got no time for the goofballness. You're only going to have time to get shit done, take care of things, take care of the people you love, and then try to not die. And say what you will about Dwight Schrute as a social being, but for those few boxes, he ticks them all.
Yeah.
And so I think Dwight and Carol really could have made something happen.
Now, okay, here's a tough question. The person he loves the most out of, Angela, all the time, forever, likes to be taken care of. She likes that Dwight will take care of her. Are you saying that Dwight's taste of like wanting to be the protector and the provider will change in the zombie apocalypse? Because as of right now, if this woman doesn't, what's her name? Carol doesn't like being taken care of or people doing things for her, I don't know if they'd be a perfect match.
Well, that is the thing that's different, is because anybody who needs to be taken care of in The Walking Dead is gone pretty quick.
Mm-hmm.
But Carol has a lot of emotional baggage, and Dwight doesn't have a lot of family he would have lost. And I think there's enough in the years we see of Dwight where he does, like, specifically for Pam, he'll do just enough nice things for Pam throughout the years that you see he actually does have a softer side. And Carol loses a lot of people. Carol goes through a lot of emotional trauma.
Mm-hmm.
I think he will see that. He'll want to take care of that, but he'll also be impressed by what an absolute badass she becomes of her own volition. Mm-hmm. So I think it works.
I do. I am reminded of the scene when Dwight's sitting on the bench with Pam. And
yes, I know what you're talking about.
He's like, "Oh, you must be PMSing pretty bad, huh?"
when it looks like he's going to put his coat on her, but then he wraps it around his waist.
Yeah, he does around his waist. Yeah. Perfect. It's great. Okay, that those are our number threes. These are both excellent. Brian. I want to give you three here. Actually, no, I will give you three because you referenced Airsoft, which was my favorite in high school. Absolutely loved Airsoft. Played in the basement all the time with my brother. And I'm gonna toss three over to Nathan as well, because after searching about Mrs. Pelletier, I think I'm gonna watch some more of Walking Dead, because I only got to season 2 and supposedly it got better. I think
season 3 is the prison one. I think that's my favorite one.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, you guys both got 3 on this one. I'm playing it pretty high points this game. So, but number twos are coming. Brian, it's your turn. Give it to us.
My
Dose.
number 2, as Nathan breaks and falls out of his chair, is going to be something very simple, because I don't think we need to go into too much detail, because it's going to be an odd couple scenario. And this is my couple to rebuild the odd couple show. It's going to be Leslie Knope from Parks and Recreation with Carla Tortelli from Cheers. Now,
I love that. I love that. Okay, keep going.
Together,
sorry.
I think this has to be in Pawnee, not in Boston. I think we got to take Carla out of Boston and put her in Central Indiana. But you
can't take the Boston out of Carly.
Correct.
Right?
So Carla's going to be there.
Exactly.
Carla is going to get a job, we'll say, at Tom's Bistro. She'll be not a sommelier, but she'll work the bar there. So that's kind of her into it all. Mm-hmm. But then she has to live with Leslie for whatever reason. Ben's not in the picture for these episodes for whatever reason. But they got to live together. And this odd couple arc that we're going to have, I think, is just going to be Carla's going to walk in and see a freaking bookshelf of binders and lose her mind. And then Leslie's going to see like a dirty apron and a pair of panties on the floor and be like, what is going on here? And then you're going to have Rashida Jones come in and be the mediator for a lot of this stuff. But Carla is going to get along so well with Andy Dwyer. He'll do anything for her, just the way like he kind of does anything for Ron. Like Carla can get Andy wrapped around her thumb, no problem. They're drinking buddies. They get along. It could even make, oh my God, what's his wife's name on the show? Andy's
Ron
wife.
Swanson.
April. He can make
April.
April jealous because of this relationship he's having with Carla. It's completely platonic, but they just get each other because that's who they are. But then Carla could be a good match to Ron too when things are going down. So this is why I think this is a good match we have going on here.
In a separate universe, I'd love to see Carla also as a waitress at JJ's diner. So that's like, she's slinging waffles to Leslie and is kind of a jerk to her. And Leslie's like, what the heck? You know?
No. That's the part where she's good to Leslie. No matter how bad it is at home, she sneaks her waffles.
Exactly.
That's
extra whipped cream, some chocolate chips sprinkled on top. Absolutely. I love this because they're both yellers. They both get in people's faces, but both have obviously completely opposite energies.
Exactly.
Big fan of this. And where Leslie is blonde and straightened hair, Carla is curly as all get out and dark haired. And Carla, of course, has God knows how many children behind in Boston. And Leslie, is yet to create her perfect brood.
And we're gonna get a Danny DeVito guest star episode.
Oh yeah, of course. Oh, Danny DeVito would have been. Oh God, just like a disgusting developer from Eagleton. Just like he's not spilling hot dogs and hamburgers on his shirt. It's like, oh, sorry, I spilled caviar and smoked salmon. Excuse me. He's rich as hell.
Warthog Frank Reynolds from Eagleton.
Exactly. Oh, that's perfect. That'll be tough to beat. How will Leslie and Carla get to work? Are they in a carpool? They do, right? They have to.
I think they're going to have to, and that's going to be in Leslie's steed, which is going to be an original model Honda Prius.
Ooh, yes,
that they call Old Faithful. And Carla's just not. That's the one where it's like the back wheel is half covered for absolutely no reason.
Yep.
And she's just going to hate that little car. And it's just like, I think as time goes on, we just shrink the car. So by the time it goes from that to a smart car and we just don't address it. So it's like Carla was actually right. It is as small as a smart car and has been this whole time. But Leslie thinks it's a Prius wagon. It's great. It's got all this room. But no, it doesn't.
And Carla clearly won't trust it because it's quiet. It doesn't say anything. It's
correct. How can you trust it?
Yeah, exactly. That's a great number 2. Nathan, as you can tell, I was excited by that one. Can you excite me again?
I will
get me back up to full steam.
I will try. I have
okay.
I have number 2 with maybe my favorite TV character ever, Lisa Simpson, as played by Yardley Smith on The Simpsons, with Sam Weir, played by John Francis, from Freaks and Geeks. I got 2 geeks here. Two geeks.
Wait. Hold on. 1 second. 2 weeks ago, we were chatting late on GChat, and you said, I can probably pull it up. You said Young Sheldon is my favorite TV character ever. So are you telling the truth?
That is not a thing that happened. That is not a thing that happened.
The internet is written in ink. Nathan likes Young Sheldon.
But I do love Lisa Simpson. She is my favorite character on my favorite TV show of all time. And then Sam Weir is, Freaks and Geeks was only on for, I think, 15 episodes. But what a beautiful, heartfelt 15 episodes it was. And Sam Weir was the pulse of the show. He was the geek he was classified into the geek crowd, but he was the younger brother of Linda Cardellini. And we did like Linda Cardellini in 2000, didn't we?
We did.
Yeah. And
she was a freak.
Yeah, she was quote unquote in the Freaks, but so he was sort of the crossover, the person who could sort of float between the two groups. It's a brilliant show that really does examine the cliques of high school politics, or that's not the right word, but social groups very well.
Yeah.
But Sam Weir is the one who he kind of went in and out of both, but he really has a conscience. He really has a soul. He tries to do right by people in both groups, despite what it will mean for his social standing in anybody's eyes. So he really is the heart and soul of the show. And then Lisa has that to do on a much bigger scale, almost a global scale, because The Simpsons is a cartoon, and so it's so otherworldly that Lisa is within the family, Lisa's the smartest Simpson by far. She's also the sweetest Simpson. She has the most compassion, the most empathy. But then she also finds herself in strange situations where, like, she's they have a Kent Brockman like news night, like a news panel show, the real serious, like late 90s. Like, here's an expert from MIT, and here's a lobbyist in Washington, blah, blah, and here's Lisa. And and they presented it as she's there every night, and she's a second grader. Mm-hmm. And so these are two young kids who really carry the weight of the world on their shoulders and don't get a lot of recognition from the older people in their life, whether it's older kids or their parents or anybody, for how much they're actually doing. But also just they're very sweet, they're very funny. And I think these two would have really, really found solace in each other. They could have related to each other. I don't know if this would be a thing that works out long run, but I think this is more one of those beautiful in the moment teenage romances where it's like they're just the perfect thing at the right time for each other. Like, I get you, I see you now. In 20 years, they may be very different people. Well, Lisa won't, because she's a cartoon, so she stays the same forever. But in Sam's case, being like a live action person, you change from age 15 to 35 and on and on and on. But
he goes on to be a detective on Bones. Yeah, totally.
So, and we don't want Lisa dating any detective on Bones. But I think in those moments, I think these two really needed each other on their respective shows. If they could have crossed over into each other's worlds, I think they would have found a kindred spirit. I think they would have found somebody who could really relate exactly to the sort of isolation they were going through, based on their personality types, based on their intelligence, their sensitivity. I think it would have been a very beautiful story arc on either show.
Interesting.
I would love to hear about what how much better Sam Weir is than Milhouse. Just like in the most crucial areas, how is he better than Milhouse?
Well, I think
sight, number one. That's obvious.
Yeah, he has better better vision. He the thing about Sam Weir is he actually makes decisions that are decisions that he made, whereas Milhouse has the least backbone of any character in the history of time. Milhouse is just pathetic. Like, that's why they named him Milhouse. It was to highlight the worst things about Richard Milhouse Nixon. I mean, don't get me wrong, Milhouse, great character, love the guy, but did we ever want Milhouse to end up with Lisa? No, absolutely not.
No.
But Sam
Your
Weir,
favorite Milhouse weak line he's ever said.
Oh, okay.
Take in the vault, 'cause I got mine cocked and ready.
Well, it's not exactly a line, but it's when he gets the Bone Storm video game, and you write in a name, so when you get a high score, your name will come up, and he gets the high score, and he's like, "That's right," and now the high score is held by, but it only has so many characters because he wanted to do Milhouse into Thrill House. But he's like, and so now the high score is held by Thrill Ho.
I think mine is the Lord of the Flies episode where they throw his inhaler and he yells, "I need that to live."
I mean, there is, of course, the great classic line from Milhouse. "I don't know, Bart. My dad's a pretty big wheel down at the cracker factory."
Oh God, the Milhouses.
Nathan, how are Sam Weir and Lisa getting home from school to go have a snack and do geometry homework together?
I mean, I hope that Linda Cardellini is giving them a ride home. I hope that she's not smoking weed with Seth Rogen and James Franco. And what was the other dude? The real successful guy.
Jason Segel?
Jason Segel.
Yeah, Jason Segel. Yeah, those three. I hope she's not smoking weed with those guys under the bleachers. But I think she would take them home. I think because her character was great on that show too, Freaks and Geeks. I love Freaks and Geeks. It was an amazing program. But I feel like it was like if she had found that Sam was dating Lisa or was wanted to hang out with Lisa. I mean, dating would be a little preemptive because they're so young, but it's like, oh, Sam wants to hang out with Lisa. I'm literally going to miss out with smoking weed with 3 of the most legendary potheads of the 21st century. I'll literally drive them over to the Dairy Queen and then take them home so they can do their homework together. And then I'll go get high. I think she would do that. Yeah.
I also would think Lisa and what's Linda's character's name in the show? It's Stacy? No, that's not it. I think Lisa Simpson and her though would get along famously. I think Lisa would be inspired by the older sister, Sam's older sister, to really like maybe let loose here and there and like flesh out her personality a bit. Maybe not play so much music. Maybe listen to a little more music. Maybe do a little art. Who knows?
Lindsay Weir.
Lindsay. There we go. Lindsay. Thank you very much, Brian, for accessing the recesses of your TV brain. Again, alarmingly impressive how much these two dudes know about the small screen I mentioned up top. Okay, I'll give you I'll give you an extra bonus point, Nathan, if you can tell me the color of the car that Lindsay Weir drove during Freaks and Geeks.
Oh, I want to say it was sort of a midnight blue. Is that right?
Brian, is that right? Because now I thought it was an olive green. Shoot. No, it is green. It's a green car. So one bonus point to Nathan there for delivering us the beautiful steed driven by Lindsay Weir. And guys, now here we are. Our number ones, and I'll tell you now, both of you got 3 points under number twos. Wonderful job there. Keep bringing that fucking heat, guys. All right, number one. Let's go. Brian, tell us.
All right, my number one. I am taking the legendary JLD as Veep Selena Meyer.
Oh,
and pairing her with It's Always Sunny's Dennis Reynolds. That's what I have here.
Boys, it all comes down to this. The Uber stare down to end all Uber stare downs. You're tied up. Whoever wins the stare down is taking the crown home today, okay? Nathan, who's your pair at the top?
It's oddly similar.
It is.
Except mine is frighteningly not as offensive and disturbingly off base as Brian's. Because I also have Dennis Reynolds as played by Glenn Howerton.
Okay.
And then I also have him paired up with somebody played by Julia Louis-Dreyfus. But I have him played with Dennis Reynolds' absolute soulmate, Elaine Bennis from Seinfeld.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Okay. All right. But before each of you dive into your couples, I want to hear just quick, like 15 seconds or less. Brian, you go first. Then Nathan, you go second. Why Dennis Reynolds is one of your favorite television characters. Okay. Now, what I'm looking for in this answer is I want some specificity. Give me a moment when you were a Sunny fan and you realized, hot damn, I want to watch this show as long as it is on. You know what I'm saying? So, Brian, if you want to just walk us down that trail a little bit, please. Why Dennis Reynolds?
Dennis Reynolds can go from 0 to 1,000,000 in a half a second.
Mm-hmm.
And it is the most evil that you could possibly think. I have never seen so much rage boiled in a character than I have with Dennis Reynolds. And I think the line that sticks with me the most is when Dee is in the hospital and he is trying to find out where she is. Mm-hmm. And he was like, "You will put my sister in a better room or my rage will echo through the corridors with the gust of 1,000 winds."
I appreciate Brian's highlighting the rage. That is a key part of the Dennis Reynolds. Yeah. It's the flippancy is like with the episode where they are holding a funeral for a dead baby that may or not actually exist. And Frank says, "Oh, this is dark." And Dennis just says, "Yep, darkest thing we've ever done." And then just gets everything moving on. That is a guy who doesn't care about anything, but he recognizes
Doesn't matter.
He recognizes it. Yeah.
Yeah.
He may be the most self-aware, evil, rage-filled person. I will definitely agree with him on that.
Yeah. Wonderful. Okay. I just want to get that out there because that is that is the shared character here. And actually I'm going to flip it around a little bit. Brian, you've had to go first each round. Nathan, I'm going to throw it to you here. Nathan, you tell us why Elaine Bennis and Dennis Reynolds would be a perfect couple.
I mean, I can't believe I even have to explain it, but I suppose it is my job. So here we go.
It is your job.
I mean, these two were just made for each other. They are the most narcissistic, just completely self-obsessed, do anything to get to the top. But also, they also have this odd predilection with social graces. They get offended at the slightest little lapse in manners from anybody else is going to send them off the rails. But they would just as soon as, run you over with their car to get to a movie on time because there was an available parking space there. And I was thinking about this, as I said, in terms of flipping the characters from which to which. I'm like, put Elaine in It's Always Sunny.
Love it.
And she is just dragged down to the depths instantly. I mean, these two are inseparable. And I mean, they'll be in jail within 5 seasons because they will. Elaine is smart. Elaine is like the smartest character on Seinfeld. And Dennis has some business acumen for some schemes and whatnot. But if you put Elaine in the orbit of those It's Always Sunny people, and they finally have somebody with some real confidence or competence, including with like Frank's money management, but Elaine's charm and deviousness alongside Dennis, and they have mutual interests. I mean, all of a sudden that show becomes The Wire within 1 season. It is going to be trouble. But then if you go the other way, Dennis goes to New York and starts dating Elaine. Dennis is going to kind of have to clean himself up a little bit, and he's going to have to be a little more presentable. But this is even more terrifying. This is the Seinfeld universe already includes George Steinbrenner.
Yeah.
That George ends up working for the Yankees. George Steinbrenner is an active character. The Seinfeld crew has access to the upper echelons of New York society in the 90s. Elaine meets Dennis Reynolds. They start dating. They're both young. They're both hot. They're both connected. They both don't care about anybody but themselves, and they can sweet talk their way into anything. It is not long before these two have cabinet positions in the Trump administration in 2016. I mean, and I know, Brian, you went the route with Julia playing the Veep. But I mean,
a lot less steps for Dennis in my story.
Yeah.
It is very likely she ends up the Veep in my story too. I mean, they just
true.
Yeah.
If you put Dennis Reynolds in the Seinfeld universe and had to clean it up a little bit more for network television in the 90s, but his character still works in that show. But they could have done so many darker things. And it also makes you kind of question, like, how dark could those Seinfeld stories actually have gone?
Yeah.
Which is basically what the entire existence of It's Always Sunny has been answering. That's the question.
Exactly.
The show.
Yeah, that's very true.
So I think these two meeting at some point is just something cosmically we all have been anticipating and have to deal with at some point. It's not a battle of television or a battle of Über Cinco. This is a battle for our souls, gentlemen.
Yeah.
It is a battle for our souls.
Oh, I can imagine the episode when George is touting the human fund, and his back is against the wall, and he knows he's about to get caught, and the boss comes in, and he's like, George, I don't know what this human fund is. That's when Dennis Reynolds come in. He's like, well, hello, I'm Brian Lefebvre of the Human Fund. Saves George, and he's a total fucking creep. And all of a sudden, the Human Fund is throwing black tie galas, and Steinbrenner's going to that. And you're like, where's all this money coming from? And he's like, oh, don't question Brian Lefebvre. Brian Lefebvre can get the money. Thank you very much. You know, I would.
I
delicious.
think Dennis Reynolds is the only character who could have enhanced the Seinfeld crew and taken them to another level of depravity seamlessly, where it wouldn't have felt unnatural.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have felt like it was forced, like it wasn't Scrappy-Doo. It wasn't,
Yeah.
But I don't
it was
think
a
Dennis
coochie.
and Kramer would have gotten along. Dennis and Kramer, I feel like, would be the antithesis.
Yeah, Dennis and Kramer would have been fantastic. Although it would have ended up with Kramer being dead somehow.
Yes,
he
of
would
course.
have been. But Dennis works with Elaine first and foremost. As Mitch just said, he works with George, but he works with Kramer. He works with Jerry. He works with Newman. Like Dennis would just drag everybody down a little bit more, but he also would have carried them to a little bit of higher heights.
Yeah.
Dennis Reynolds is the greatest Seinfeld character that was not in the show Seinfeld.
Wow. There it is. Okay, that's a big talkie you just did there. That's a big point you're trying to make. Brian, can you outdo him? Give us your shit. Let's go.
In this day and age, where is the only place a golden god can rise to?
Oh, I love
It's the White House.
Oh, I love it. Oh, I do love it.
And now imagine you have It's Always Sunny crew. I mean, they've already stolen the Liberty Bell.
Yep.
They've already done this. They're already a part of American history. Now imagine that there is a campaign visit in Philadelphia where they have to stop off and Selena Myers has to use the bathroom at a bar just because she has to. And boom, the second Dennis locks eyes with Selena Meyer, he goes in the office and he comes out in a suit. And basically he just fits in with Secret Service. But he's already sitting at the bar with a martini. He hands one to her and they walk out together. And as they're talking, they're having this amazing fuck fest in the limo. Sweaty Dennis looking up, going to it. This is what's happening. This is night one.
Right there. He's,
Dennis
climaxing.
is the only one that can make her feel the way Dave Pasquazi made her feel. Andrew. Andrew could take Selena off her pedestal and make it. Now, imagine these two riding their trusty steed after the election. They're in Air Force One, but Dennis calls it the implication. And these two take this plane everywhere that they need to. Now, you've had great televised first ladies over the years.
Yeah.
I would say, regardless of what she did, Nancy Reagan is a stereotypical first lady for that. Now imagine Dennis Reynolds in that position of being the first gentleman to Selena Meyer, schmoozing at parties, wheeling and dealing in the background, now taking Dennis Reynolds type schemes to the international level.
Yep.
You could have Dennis Reynolds truly affecting international politics and would have no problem making the call in the Situation Room on Selena's behalf.
Frank already has ties to Southeast Asia. I mean, boom, locked up right there. Yeah.
I can see that. He comes down.
He went
like,
there on a vacation.
Yes.
Beautiful country. Dennis comes down, like Selena's tired. She's like, what's going on? Whatever. We got a drone up in the air. Yeah, take the shot. I'm going to bed. All right. I can't do this anymore. And he goes up, says, hey, I told him to take the shot. You cool with that? Yeah, that's fine. Where are we having dinner? Like, that's the kind of relationship that they have. It doesn't really matter. The dark stuff is just under the table. But just imagine the sexual chemistry between Dennis Reynolds. He doesn't have the first woman he's ever met. He doesn't have the Dennis system.
Yeah, he doesn't.
She just gets it. He tries to do it. And she's like, I know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Let's just skip to, I'm going to think that's a home run. We don't need to round the bases. Let's go.
She'd probably say something like, do not try and fuck me with your diseased Philly ass beef dick, you motherfucker. Like, just like, I'm on your level.
Oh my God. The amount of swearing gymnastics that these two would go through. And he would just look at her and you just shut your dirty mouth.
Also,
and he goes to town.
I would live to see the moment when Dan is getting real mouthy and trying to tell Selena what to do. And then Dennis just steps in front of him. He's like, you know what? Your hair is small, and just boom, lays the fucking hammer down, So
it's not even dirty. He just cuts to the core of what makes the man insecure. Just straightens his tie, turns around, and he's eating peanuts on the couch. And then imagine Dennis Reynolds just getting along with Gary. Like, he knows Gary's always going to look out for her, but he knows it's never going to happen. So Gary gets to do all the girlfriend stuff that Dennis has no interest in doing with Selena.
Gary
gets the thing. Blah, blah, blah.
Gary is like Mac, but Gary's not in love and trying to have sex with Dennis all the time.
Exactly.
That's amazing. Oh my God, you guys, this is really tough. Fuck. Oh, this is so hard. Okay, I know. Oh my God. Oh God. Can I just call it a draw? Are you guys cool with that? No? Okay.
No.
All right.
Absolutely
Okay.
not. We both gave you power host JLD.
I know.
And two of the best characters ever put to screen.
Okay.
You gotta give it.
I will say this, that Dennis and Elaine were driving to the Hamptons to show George's parents the house with the second solarium in Kramer's car that had the license plate that said Ass Man. I'll say that. That was
Oh,
That is true. But Dennis has Air Force One now. So trip to the Hamptons a lot shorter than taking the highway.
Fuck. Is there any other last Hail Marys? Because you guys, seriously, this is absolutely the hardest decision I've ever had to make for Uber Cinco. I promise you that. Any other Nathan, last Hail Marys, less than 10 seconds, give it to me. Go. Brian, any last Hail Marys, less than 10 seconds, give it to me. Go.
Selena Meyer gets down on her knee in front of Dennis, and she opens up a little canister that has a key in it. It's the key to Marine One that she has renamed the Golden Rod.
Oh.
Boom. He now has the key to Marine One.
Oh. I hate to say it, but Brian, that gave you one little inch forward, and I'm going to give it to Brian. I'm so sorry, Nathan. I hate to do this, but Brian is the winner of the stare down, and thus he is the winner of Uber Cinco today. Top 5 TV crossover couples. You won by 3 points with a total score of 17 to 14. Congrats, Brian. Feel good about that victory today. That was well earned, guys. That was an incredible battle. I could not feel more blessed to be here today to do that with you. Honestly, fantastic. Okay, guys, it's time for the Fast Five. Here we go. Top 5 ways your parents distract from the nudity on screen. Number 5, the cupped hand. Oh no, skin! Oh gosh, blurts out Mom as she covers your eyes with all 4 by 8 inches of her sweet hand. I have a question, Mom. Why aren't you covering your eyes? Huh? Perv? Number 4. The Who Wants Popcorn? Still bloated and reeling from speed slamming slice after slice of her weekly family za only minutes ago, Dad couldn't be more sure that it's time to pop enough corn to keep you pooping weird for a week. Who wants butter? Sorry, Dad, I only heard butt. Number 3. The T-Rex. This is the choice of a true parental mental terrorist. Hey parents, you move, more skin flashes. Even a flinch, here comes the dicks. You treat the nudity like the big boy in Jurassic Park. Don't move a goddamn muscle, the lust will be over soon. And you'll wonder why your kids will be nervous lovers later in life. Number 2.
Nervous lovers.
The moral authority. Normally led by Mom, but Dad is happy to step in and assist when need be. But Mom and Dad know best. Hollywood? Sleazy. Trash in, trash out. This is what movies have always been, they say. Sure, the storyline is about oppressive English society where everything is locked down, and that when people finally get the chance to get down, they don't let it go to waste, right? Or yeah, sure, the whole movie has been exploring the newly rediscovered sexuality of a widower, but God, no, we don't need to see this lonely person climb to the top of Fuck Mountain. We can find climax through a nice handhold. Who rented this movie again, parents? And number 1, the inaccurate fast forward. Dad's almost dozing off, but he's got the remote. The screen has just filled with lost butts, and here comes the boobs, but Dad's eyes are resting. Chuck! Chuck! Mom screams, fast forward, god damn it! Dad comes too. His sausage fingers finds the double FF. No, not that one, you skeeve. He ends up going 20 minutes forward in the action and now has to rewind. His sausage fingers strike again and the rewind speed is too fast. We glimpse Nip. Nice! He's got to forward again. A minute later, wait, who's this character? Shut up and enjoy the movie! And that's this week's edition of Uber Cinco. Please rate and review our show on Apple Podcasts. And once again, we love that hearty warm word of mouth. So please tell your friends about us. Send them your favorite episode. Share your best moments. We would much, much appreciate it. Thank you to the man who can't wait to watch Brienne of Tarth climb Shaq himself.
Nathan Hennenfent.
And my big wet boy, Brian, the guy who can't get enough of that deep-throated chat from John and Jack.
Brian Ernst.
And I've been Mitch Brinkman, and as Biz Bear always says, when buying cocaine, you should check the stuff like you're enjoying a fine meal. Use your eyes, Use your nose and then your mouth. Auf Wiedersehen and adios.
You've just listened to Über Cinco, a production of UBK Studios. Subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or wherever you get your fine podcasts from.
If you like what you hear and want to support the show, please visit our Patreon site at patreon.com/UBK Studios. Every little bit helps us keep the lights on and the bill collectors at bay.
Keep tabs on us on all the social media at UBK Studios, and most importantly, subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can see that we really are just a bunch of good Midwestern boys.